Regular session of the Gladstone City Commission. First order of business will be the invocation said by Commissioner Mackey, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise, please.
Shall we pray? God, we ask you to look over our meeting tonight, to grant us wisdom and patience, understanding, those qualities we need in order to make decisions that are the best for the community, not for individuals. These things we ask through Jesus Christ, your Son, our Lord, who lives and reigns forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next time, be a roll call, please.
Mayor Hunter,
Here.
Commissioner Gay,
Here.
Commissioner Mackey,
Here?
Commissioner Mattinen,
Here.
Commissioner Olson.
Here. Okay. Next item will be public comment.
Just
Oh, she does look, looks up now. Public comment? No,
Choose Recreation Board.
I know she is. I was just giving her a hard time. Okay, next item will be the consent agenda. We have the City Commission regular meeting minutes of June 24, 2013, and the DDA regular meeting minutes of June 11, 2013.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, a motion and supported by Commissioner Olson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Public hearings, we have none, so we'll move on. Unfinished business, none, we'll move on. New business, we have the appointment to the DDA board, Dr. Patrick Johnson. This is Mayor Hunter. I talked to Dr. Johnson. I called, left him a message. He and I connected on July 4th morning at the firecracker. And he does have on his form the DDA and rec board, and I spoke to him about somebody being appointed to two different positions. That I don't think that's ever happened before, from my understanding. May have some time ago. We do have another person that has applied for the rec board, and I felt anyway that was Dr. Johnson owning a business, that I thought maybe the DDA was a little more better suited for him at this time. And he said his heart and soul is in the Parks and Rec, but he understood my thoughts on it, and he agreed. And he said that he would serve on the DDA, and he was satisfied with that, and so he'd like to be a member of the DDA board. So it's actually nice to see that he was willing to do both positions, and it's actually nice to see that we are going to have another person that did apply for the recreation board. So it's nice to see these people getting involved with the community. So if there is no objections at all, I'd like to appoint Dr. Patrick Johnson to the DDA board to fill a vacancy with a term expiring on May the 1st, 2014. Good, all right. He is so appointed. And again, new business appointment to the Parks and Recreation Board, Mrs. Judy Kem. I believe I pronounced that correctly when I spoke to her on the phone. Unfortunately, I like to try to meet with people in person. With the scheduling, I was not able to. I did talk with her on the telephone for a good portion of time. And what I liked about her resume that she sent along with the application is she's a retired veteran from the U.S. Army, which is always outstanding, but also she is a retired police officer. Now, some of you may have objections to that, but
Actually, I thought she had a really
very
impressive resume.
I thought the credentials were, yeah. And what I liked about it was the fact that she has experience, from what I'm seeing here, not only in the Army when it comes to the Parks and Recreation Division, but primarily when she was a police officer. And I thought that was nice to see, the fact that she's been in the community only since May of this year, though. So that concerned me a little bit, but then I thought it would be nice with what we're looking at tonight with our master plan for the Parks and Recreation, that we have an outside view coming in, and maybe bring some of her other works and her other knowledge from the location that she moved from and worked at to our location and to our community to see if that would help out at all.
Have you met her? Being through on Parks and Rec Board, or?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I have not.
You haven't met her? You see her resume?
I have not.
You should check it out after the meeting. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I think she looks like she's going to bring a lot of good stuff to the board.
Yep. She seemed very spirited on the phone. Nice. Seemed like a nice lady. I mean, I don't know how much you can engage over the telephone, but again, when I spoke with her on the phone and also seeing her resume here, I was impressed. And again, what I like about it is the fact that we have an outside view, maybe coming to the board to give us some other insight that may have worked in other, in the communities that she served. So if there's not any questions or concerns, I wouldn't like to see a consent for the appointment of Ms. Judy Keim to the Parks and Recreation Board. Okay,
Yep.
all right. Should be so appointed. All right, now we'll move on to the presentation by UPEA Master Plan with cost estimates. Ms. Falcon.
We have Pat Coleman with us tonight. He was one of the
how you doing?
main people at all the meetings, and I've read through his report here, and I'm very impressed. This is exactly, in my opinion, what we asked for, a plan and cost estimates, and he's here to hit the highlights tonight.
We'll hit the highlights. And again, it's great to be here, and I think, the plan turned out really well, in our opinion. We got a lot of great ideas from people. I think we took extra care to run this, across everybody's radar screen here, both from a community standpoint, but also having the meeting with the Parks and Recreation Board, as well as many of you folks not that long ago, to look at the options that we've come up with. We got a lot of good feedback at the meetings, and so it's always fun. Project is turning out well, and our clients are happy. So, we went through a lot of this before. The new stuff, of course, is the seeing the final concept and the opinion and cost. We gathered a lot of information from you. This is what you said, told us was your goal in terms of recreation, overall and specific to the site. Our study area, we divided into 3 areas concerning the ski area, the ball fields, and then the area that's currently undeveloped. And we've kind of followed that division throughout the work here. The existing conditions, of course, you're familiar with the ball field and the ski area, but the rest of the site, we have undeveloped land, we have the old landfill, we have a composting site, and then we have an area, it's called the city dump on here. I'm not really sure what it is. I guess the city puts concrete. There's a big hole there left from the sand they took out, and so that's become a dump of sorts, but I don't think our friend the regulators would like to see it called that, landfill. So again, we had back in February, we had a public workshop, and people gave us a lot of ideas. We used a technique, a visual preference survey, where we had a lot of images out on the tables and on the walls, and people got to kind of pick and choose the things that they liked and perhaps the things they didn't care for. And out of that, really, we came up with the program for the site in terms of what are high priorities for people and low priorities, as well as additional concerns. The idea to close the road through the site. When we first looked at the site, we thought, oh, wouldn't that be great if that road wasn't there? But the people of the community brought that to our attention, and we think, yeah, it needs to be addressed. So we looked at some options for that we'll talk about. Concept plans, we came up with 2 with some variations on each one. Public open house on April 10th. On May 7th, we reviewed with the Park and Recreation Board and then got input back, and I know some of you were there as well. Perhaps all of you were, I can't remember, sorry. You know, we came back with one concept then based on those revisions and the comments that we got back in terms of future residential development, ATV route, community garden, and you know, putting that more in the area of the compost site. So the final option, Bluff Drive remains, but with drastic calming, traffic calming measures shown, which included some ideas like a center boulevard, which of course you're very used to in this community now. And I drove past that tonight. What a beautiful piece of landscaping that is, and community enhancement. I'm sure the people who live there really appreciate it. But doing that kind of road narrowing and dividing it and really making it safer for pedestrians. Lots of parking on the site. This shows the different locations for parking. The great thing with this plan is you have a plan for the next 20 years or more. You can implement it as you do projects there, take pieces of this and then implement those in turn. Just some images again for the kinds of environments that can be created on the site. Rather than big open parking lots, having smaller ones, particularly for summer use with shade, is really a nice feature and very much appreciated. Keeps things kind of low impact and quiet. Pedestrian circulation on the site, your existing trails, the big spine through the ball fields where there would be centers of activity, then at key points, including a good connection to the ski lodge, has a lot of potential, a center area where there can be concessions and picnic areas and perhaps even some shade for people to enjoy some food or a break from the games. Different types of pathways. The lower right-hand corner shows the raised pedestrian crossing, which acts like a big speed hump, but certainly not something that would impede snow management practices. Creating little gateways for those pedestrian crossings so that people know, drivers know, people are aware of the fact that it's a special area they need to take care of. Again, some more kinds of programming issues. Again, we've got 3 different areas we're dealing with. Some home sites, adding some new activities out there, such as an archery range and frisbee golf and pump track. Some improvements are absolutely essential at the ski area and probably should be your top priority. This does show kind of the some revisions to the tubing runs with the potential to add summer tubing, new tubing center and warming huts so that people aren't cutting across the ski hill to get to the tubing area from the main chalet. Improving connections to the parking and to the rest of the park. New chalet is certainly, and if you read the report, you do have, your building now is fine, it's very usable, but you can't do much with that. So we're recommending that you consider a new facility that will better meet the needs of your customers and your staff and generate potential for more revenue out there, particularly in terms of rentals, but also perhaps renting out, having a ski shop at the facility and so forth, or an outdoor summer activity center. So just again, some images, the zip lines becoming very popular. Really a better new chalet that would design to have better in and outdoor interface. Right now it's a little bit difficult going in and out of that building from to the ski hill, kind of the look that people liked. The snowmaking improvements, you've got a basic system in place. Your current situation where you're using city water, and if you were at the presentation when Nick Dennis, our consultant, our sub-consultant, who's operated ski areas, said your water is too warm, your city water, and your guns are not the right type, and so you're spending a lot of time making very little snow, and as a result, it isn't working well. You need to get that hill open for the holiday season, because that, according to your records, is about 30% of your business, and you only hit that about once every 5 years. So you ought to be trying, the goal ought to be to hit that every year. You can do it if you have the product, if people know that they can count on coming to Gladstone to go tubing or skiing over the holidays. It's a huge boost to your business. It boosts the seasonal passes as well. And he demonstrated that where current manager of Mount Ripley, Hope Hancock, and they had the same exact situation. You could never count on the hill on having snow. The hill faces south, much like yours, and you know, they weren't selling many season passes. People kind of like wait and see, you know, is there going to be snow or not? So they installed snowmaking there and are able to cover that hill. It's a big effort, certainly, but they're able to get that hill open for the holidays, and it means everything to them. It will to you too. You do need to develop a pond at the base, an in-ground pond that will collect water over the summer and fall, and then that water will be cold. And so when you pump it into the snow guns, it doesn't have to change the temperature of that water very much, and you get a very efficient snowmaking system with some new guns. You can use the ones you have, but he recommended getting some rebuilt, newer models that are much more efficient today. So we show the plan. You've got, again, some infrastructure in place in terms of existing hydrant locations, some water lines. You've got a pump house. You know, it's basically all there. It just needs to be updated. And again, they make the snow in piles and push it around. This is, you know, you need 4.5 million gallons of water to cover the hill with a foot of snow. And you're lucky if you know, get natural snow to supplement that, but that's what it'll take. The pump that or the pond that we show there will hold approximately that much, and you know, keep the possibility open then to fill that pond with your city water in order to cool it down. You want that water as cold as possible before it gets pumped into the snow guns. And he specified the snowmakers that can be added, and again, you can get those right here in Michigan. They're made in Michigan, and they do have rebuilt equipment there. So some more recommendations, turning the ski hill, actually more of it into a terrain park, which is what the young people really like today. A lot of people, if they're going to drive to go skiing, they're probably going to go up to Marquette or go up west or go to the western UP to ski. So focus on something you can be really strong and competitive in, which is the terrain park, and that will attract a lot of kids and families to your site.
What is the device in the lower left corner?
Lower left, that's a rail that they ride on. They jump up and slide along that.
With skis? Or
Or
snow?
snowboard.
Snowboard.
Either one.
Okay.
Just like your skateboard park, you know, it's all about doing tricks and riding these different, flat tabletops, the rails, and so forth. So you can have this stuff fabricated locally. You know, that's what the kids want today. Go to Mount Ripley. Actually, these photos are from Mount Ripley. Marquette Mountain has a big terrain park. And, you know, a lot of these kids, they don't even use the lifts. They just hike it, or they'll use the lift once, come to the terrain park, and then that's where they plant themselves, and they're just walking, doing these, practicing, trying to do these things. Do they get injured? Yeah. But, you know, it's skiing, and right on your lift ticket, it probably says skiing is a dangerous sport. Do so at your own risk. And so really, in Michigan, it's great. There's limited liability on the part of the owner when there are injuries. The tubing park, again, the potential for summer runs, as well as the magic carpet where people just go and stand, and it's like an escalator going up the hill. So the ball field area, we show the parking layout, and actually the new entrance to the park from block to the west, coming in past the current location of the compost site. So the idea is use as much as what's there as possible, which is what people told us they wanted, and then showing locations and how those facilities can be enhanced, as well as adding some more ball field capacity here. So this plan does that. You know, we show some neat things, berming for alternative types of seating, having again the central focal point, the concession area that is in close proximity to all of the diamonds, the play area, having a place for dogs and picnics, and trailhead then for the rest of the site. Some basketball and tennis courts perhaps, open play area, showing a lot of things focused around the ball field, but that really help you know, make this more of a destination location for tournaments and other teams. And some images from the play area to the pavilion, different types of pavilion and concession type buildings, the berm seating. One thing that's really great with this site, you know, is that it's not like it's solid rock, or, you know, you've got rock outcrops, or you have those kinds of problems. It's sand. And so it's really easy to push that soil around and create an environment that is going to be like you see here. And then we do have an alternative field layout if desired, because in order to provide the correct sun orientation. So there's a recognition that your existing fields perhaps aren't ideal, but there's been a lot of investment there by volunteers and donators, and we don't want that to go away. So people kind of felt they could live with that, but you never know, it might be that they will ball field people will undertake some major fundraising efforts in order to make these improvements here. And really, that's what in all, you know, we can talk about funding and how we've broken this cost estimate down into pieces that you can use then as you develop a funding strategy, certainly maximizing grants and utilizing local donated labor and talent and materials. Like those rails you see on that ski area, you might be able to get, you know, a shop class to build and donate those things, and that might be something that kids would really be interested in doing, would be to build those rails. You know, you've already got some partnerships going now, and certainly the more you expand that, like I understand there's discussions with the Frisbee golf people about, implementing a plan for Frisbee golf both on the undeveloped area of the site as well as at the ski hill itself. And then you do have some lots that can be sold up there to generate some revenues to help you match funds. So we've broken the cost down into 6 major areas, from roads and parking lots, pedestrian circulation, the ski hill itself, the ball field area, and then the open space. So the grand total is $10 million, and that's a lot of money, certainly. But what did Nicole say, that the plan for the marina a decade ago was $5 million or something, and found a way to do it. And so this plan really is the first step to help you find ways to do it. You've got pretty good staff here that is on top of the grants programs, and you never know what the next opportunity is going to be for grants, because they tend to fall out of the sky sometimes. You never see them coming. Now you have a plan that you can show these grant agencies, and they're going to get all behind this because you did your homework, you got your community involved, you did your analysis and some basic design work that says, hey, you can do these things, here's what it's going to cost, and here's what it's going to do for you. So just, the road work is 1.3 million. But again, we, included, a lot of curb and gutter, a lot of paving, a lot of things. Maybe you don't need to do that much. $1 million in parking lot improvements, but perhaps over time, as parts of different pieces of the puzzle, okay, you're not going to do all of these at once, for example. And a lot of them are associated with the ball fields, and maybe you don't need as much parking. You showed it, I could go back, I can't remember how many spaces, but it's a lot of parking that we've shown on that site plan. The internal pedestrian circulation, the systems, and trail improvements, rather the approach, we took kind of the middle of the road in terms of quality. It's not going to be all concrete pavers, but maybe you want to have some nice plaza areas in there that you would consider paving, and special paving treatments. Ski hill improvements does include the new chalet. The important thing, so to get this thing operating at a break-even or plus basis for you is the snowmaking. You got to do that because that got to have the product that'll get people coming here, generating more steady stream of revenues, improve your concessions, et cetera, et cetera. It's all related. Snowmaking is the key. You got to have the thing to sell, as Nick Sardennis would say, and that's what it is. It's $2 million in ball area improvements. It includes a new concession and restrooms, playground with accessible surface. If you priced out playgrounds lately, you know how much that's it's very, very expensive, particularly the accessible surface is about equal to the cost of the play equipment these days. And the open space park improvements. Can you do an archery range for less than $25,000? You probably can. certainly the, the plan we've shown with the facilities and the amenities. But still, when you think about a recreation facility, $25,000 really isn't all that much to me. Okay, so that's where we're at then. We did include nearly $1 million contingency in there, so that, and these costs are in 2013 dollars. So I'd be happy to have discussion, answer any questions. Again, I think a major effort by the community on this, and good turnout at the meetings, and seem to have a lot of support in the community for this plan. So I suspect that's what the Parks and Recreation Board is looking for as well from you folks. So.
Thank you. Nice plan. Do we have any questions, comments from the commission?
Yes.
Commissioner Olson?
One of the things that we had talked about real early was some possibility of housing like condos and things, and that didn't make the plan. So you want to just kind of review?
Absolutely, yeah. We did have two locations in the alternatives for condos on the hill. Number one, we found out we couldn't get a lot of them in there and still have the ski hill.
Okay.
But we did show two locations, one on each side. The one side was really a marginal location. In fact, we had to go way down the hill in order to find space for, and I think we only got like 10 units in there, something like that. The other location was over on the north side of the hill, and then the neighbors over there were all objecting to that. And the discussion was at the joint meeting, I believe, when we were trying to consolidate these two options into one preferred option, was to drop that housing because of those objections. And two, I think the main reason was we all discovered we couldn't get that many units in there, and would it really be worth it? And so what we're recommending is the other property that the city owns, and let me just go back here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go right to the beginning.
Proposed residential.
Oh, right here, yeah, the proposed residential, we show you have existing lots that are platted there now. Actually, this entire area is all divided, on paper at least, into lots. You sold one, or the city sold one of those, then I understand pulled the property off the market. This was years ago. I'm guessing that house has been there 15, 20 years, something like that. So, the other sites we showed for the condos were here and down here. And those are in your plan document, the different options. You just can't get that many units in there where it really was going to be worth it. But you certainly could do, perhaps this could be a task for your planning commission is, how do we take this property here, which is actually pretty nice, and maintain a trail here, and perhaps divide that into, or have a plan to do something higher density there. Maybe that's where you do your condos. You certainly want to look at your market locally for housing to figure out what kind of housing should we get in there. But I can tell you this, if you're going to be doing these improvements, this is going to be very valuable property. It's going to be on a quiet road, and people have access to trails. the most desired residential amenity in today's real estate market is trails and open space. Parks used to be golf courses, and it was for many years. That's changed. In fact, what they found is a lot of people build on golf courses, don't even play golf. They like the view, especially when there aren't a lot of golfers out. So, you know, you've got a lot of potential there. These are good-sized lots, you know, and you might be able to actually, you know, double or triple that density from what was proposed 20 years ago when the market was different. And there's still a market for that kind of housing, but there's also a lot of market for the empty nester type housing, which would appeal a lot to these folk. You know, the recreational amenities here would appeal to those kinds of people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Mackey?
My only comment was going to be the old broken record. We've done everything we could to look at the expense side of the income statement. I've stressed several times to the city manager and her staff, and I know she's listening, that we have no choice now but to look at growing revenues. So when I got elected to the city commission, I thought this was an area that was prime for a far better use than what we see today, and that's why I pushed for this. I'm very happy with the product. I can't help but thinking of the MML with placemaking. This seems to be making a place, a destination is the word you used during your presentation. You weren't asked to include 80 acres across the road from there, but 80 acres across the road fit in with what you just explained to Commissioner Olson about being attractive property, because if you make that a destination, it's real near it. It's not part of the scope of this project, but it's city-owned property that's real near it. We've never developed it because there are a lot of development lots sitting in Gladstone right now, but they're not right on top of our project, so I would think that 80 acres would become more desirable. But anyways, after saying all that, we have a plan now, and we have a demonstrated track record of taking a plan with parks and recreation activities and making them happen, as you said. There's no reason to believe why that won't happen with this either. I've always felt that the sports park is a lightning rod. There are some people who feel like the sports park costs this community too much money and we should look at different uses, and there are other people who are passionately in favor of keeping it in business. So if we're going to keep in business, we need to maximize that property, and I think this plan does a good job of that. And as people change, commissions come and go, personnel come and go, this is a document that will be left behind to keep picking at it. It's pretty ambitious. $10 million, there's your headline for the paper. But I really like it. I'm very happy with what we got for our money.
Anything else? I'd like to thank you for putting together this presentation. You put a lot of time and effort into it. What I really liked, probably above all, was the fact that you took in everybody's concerns and comments, and you tried to craft what you felt and what I think what you were hearing for an overall final product. And I think you did. I think you and your firm did an outstanding job
Well, thank
at
you very
drafting
much.
that.
It was a great experience for us too.
And this is something that almost from I won't say day one, being on the commission, because I was still trying to learn something, still am. But at least in the early part of my days on the commission, I was pushing for trying to get something developed up there, at least have something in line. And one of the biggest things was, primarily at that point, the ski hill, to try to become more self-sustaining, more efficient than what we were getting. And that wasn't any cut to the staff, wasn't any type of cut to anyone in the public that wanted to keep the ski hill going. And what I liked was the recommendations from your I think you called him your sub-advisor.
Yeah.
What I liked about that was he brought forward an idea or a concept that I don't know if any one of us were aware of, and the fact that we could become more efficient, first and foremost, with developing the hill for our snow capabilities. And I think that's something that us as a commission and future commission would need to look at sooner rather than later if we want to make that more sustainable for efficiency purposes. So I appreciate not only looking at putting together a plan on how we can expand, but also putting together a plan on how we become more efficient and better usage of the property that we already have.
That was our understanding of what you were looking for, and that's why, I know enough about ski area development, but I wanted an expert in the snowmaking and the hill operation. He took a look at what Nicole's doing there. We looked at all the numbers, and it's clear you gotta have the snow, because when you have the snow, you do okay out there. And no, it's not the greatest hill in the Upper Peninsula, but it has a lot of potential for these other things. The tubing, that's where are you gonna do that? He said himself, I wish I had tubing at Mount Ripley. So you've got that, it's a great family activity, and then focusing on the terrain part, which more suits your vertical drop and the slopes there, and that can become a destination for those two things, as opposed to trying to compete with Marquette Mountain on the skiing. You're not going to do it.
No.
Good skier, 3 turns and then at the bottom, so.
No, I think the plan overall is very well derived from everybody's version of what they think, or vision, of what they would like to see happen up there. But I would agree. I would agree that you're not going to compete with Marquette Mountain. The hill, I think, is perfectly suited for what you're talking about with your snowboarding, trick skiing, and then also to attract the adult crowd that probably would not be able to do the rails, the tubing. And that's a great idea, to keep that tubing in line. Plus, you also were able to focus on summertime activity to make that more of a year-round use instead of just one-dimensional. We have some summer usage now, but it actually would allow us to be able to maximize that property and its capabilities.
The mountain biking, and I just kind of brushed on that when we went through this. It's all in your document. But I was up at Copper Harbor over the weekend, and they have focused
So was
on
I.
trails. Were you? Were you there when
They were out of power, exactly.
We went up there for dinner because
So did I.
and went to the Harbor House, and it's like closed.
Yeah.
And then we quickly found out the flies were unbelievably bad.
So you ended up at the Mariner North?
No, we ended up in Eagle Harbor.
Oh, you backtracked.
But my point was, the town was loaded with mountain bikers. And, I
Yeah.
know it was an idea that they started with about 10 years ago, that we need to start focusing on non-motorized, on biking. And they got some people involved who have developed world-class trails there now. And there was some kind of event going on, but everywhere you looked, there were people on mountain bikes, families, couples and so forth. It looked like everyone was having a great time. So, yeah, when you're on a bike, then those flies can't catch you. They always get bad up there in the southwest winds, and they had that over the weekend. Yeah, I think, there's a lot of potential in that, because you could develop, a little mountain bike touring center up there. Any other questions?
Anything else from the commission? Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. All right, commission, any questions, concerns, or comments amongst ourselves?
Well, I did hear Nicole say she was ready to hit the ground running with this plan, and I'm sure the Recreation Board's in support of that too. So.
Well, with any project, from big to small, small to big, they're usually, you normally have to have a plan in place, and this is actually what we've been looking for. Obviously, the $10 million price tag is an eye-opener, but taking it into the phases, what I look at, one of our first phases, in my opinion, that we would need to look at on this plan if so approved, would be being more efficient with our snowmaking capabilities. If we're going to maintain a ski hill, that is first and foremost, I would think, on the front burner.
Well, when you brought in Nick Sardenis, he was passionate and authentic. I don't think the guy would be a liar. I was pretty sure of that.
No.
He knew what he was talking about, and he was passionate about it.
Well, Nick will tell you exactly the way it is too.
Yep.
So, you can call on him too. He'd be glad to, if Nicole has questions about the snowmaking or something, and I think even if you need some additional help from him, he would be available to come down and work with you all to put together a package on what you exactly need to get that place fired up and on all cylinders.
Thank you. Anything else in the commission? Okay. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve and accept the master plan and recommendation to the Parks and Recreation Board to start implementing as fast as they can.
Second.
Sorry. I had a motion supported by Commissioner Olson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's carried. All right, Ms. Kennedy.
Not.
Thank you again.
Very welcome. Been a pleasure.
All right, next item on the agenda will be the special assessments number 313 for paving. Looks like Ms. Falcon.
Yeah, Barry wasn't able to be with us tonight, so I'm just going to introduce it. This should not sound new to any of you. We've talked about this project several times. Actually, this block, 700 to 800 block on Wisconsin Avenue, kind of between Skratsky Funeral Home and All Saints Church there, has been on our list for several years, and due to costs and whatever funding sources has been taken off the list many times. But so it is before us for this fiscal year. We did have a meeting, Barry and I. There's 4 property owners that will be affected by this project. And Barry and I had a meeting on site with these property owners on May 30th. Just kind of went over complete reconstruct with curb and gutter. And the church asked if we were still willing to help them fix one of their sidewalks. Absolutely, while we're in the area. I think our public works crew is getting pretty good at sidewalks, so no major concerns from that initial meeting. We told them the steps, there would be a public hearing. They would have an opportunity to come before you guys tonight, or when we set the public hearing, and discuss any further issues that they thought of after the fact. And we told them this August, it's on our schedule for this August. So tonight we're just introducing it. If we could set the public hearing for the next regular meeting, which is July 22nd, that would be their opportunity to come and address the commission. Beyond that, we take that as a green light and schedule the work.
Okay.
So
Very good.
I move that we set the public hearing for number 313 for paving, public hearing for July 22nd, 2013.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion and supported by Commissioner Gay. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The motion's carried. All right, next item on the agenda will be the MML Workers' Compensation Fund ballot.
I think this is 2-year terms. So we saw something similar to this 2 years ago. Looks like there's 7 seats open, 7 people applying. The only representative from the UP there is Bill Vidia, the city manager in Marquette, City Marquette.
7 seats?
I have no recommendation or,
7 seats? And
yep,
full 7?
and 7.
7 candidates, 7
Candidates.
seats. Okay.
That makes it easy.
Yes.
Maybe we'll see your name on here.
Is there official action required on this?
If you want to check the ballot, we don't, we just don't turn it in, but we are members and they are our work comp carriers.
I move to approve the candidates suggested so that we do cast our ballot. I think we should. Workman's Compensation Fund, Unemployment Compensation Fund, and the liability funds were all created in the early 80s when cities couldn't get that coverage anymore because the private sector thought we were too risky. And so we created our own funds to take care of ourselves.
I'll second.
We have a motion and supported by Commissioner Mattinen. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. We have the 7 incumbents. That's what we're casting. Okay, next item on the agenda will be the GASB 45 OPEB calculation. That's Falcon.
Yep, this GASB 43 to 45 came about 3 years ago. It is a calculation for post-employment benefits that we do report on our financial statements now. 3 years ago, we did bid this out. We got 4 bids back, and we chose Burnham and Flower at that time. Instead of paying them $1,960 to do the calculation for us, they allowed us to open a trust account, which the commission chose to do, and the $1,960 went into a trust account. So they really did the calculation for us for free. And so since we already have the trust account open with them, to finish our 2013 audit, which Anderson Tackman was here again today, they should be done in the next couple days with our annual audit that ended March 31st, 2013. They do need this calculation for the audit, and the audit is due to the state of Michigan by September 30th. So I reached out to Burnham and Flower. They will do the calculation for the city of Gladstone for $2,100. And since we did open the trust account with them in the past, they are giving us a 30% discount off the standard rate. So I thought $2,000 was pretty reasonable since our plans have changed. So I'm curious to see what the new calculation is.
Do you think it'll produce much of a different result? I know that's probably a hard question to answer.
Yeah, I think so, because all groups had either 10 or 12 years post-employment health benefits. The 2 union groups are now down to 6. That's got to be
Yep.
cost savings. So,
I'd move that we approve the proposal from Burnham and Flower for the OPEB calculation.
Support.
I have a motion and supported by Commissioner Mackey. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The motion's carried. All right, next item on the agenda will be the payment of the bills. I believe we have a revised that was on our desk.
yep, the revised payment of bills tonight, $129,458.21. The one I did want to point out is the total bill is not budgeted. The Havelka Construction, that was the company that came in and crushed the concrete. So the old sidewalks that we took off Delta Avenue, we piled them in the bullpen. Havelka Construction came in and ground them up, crushed them for us. That was the gravel that went back down on Delta Avenue. Delta, North 9th Street, and that portion of it was budgeted. And when they had that amount crushed, Barry could have said, okay, we don't need any more, thank you for your services, have a nice day, but they were only charging us $4.50 a ton to crush that. And to buy gravel these days at the local contracting companies, it's $9 a ton. So at that rate, he said, crush the rest of it. We'll kind of create our own inventory pile. Some of that is being used on alleys. We will use it. So we thought at that price, let's just get the rest of it crushed. So that portion was $15,133, was
Well,
not budgeted.
Will that have a positive effect on the Wisconsin Street project?
Possible.
Okay.
Yeah,
They could
we will
utilize
use
that.
it. It won't,
Okay.
So
Well, if we
instead
can get
of,
it for $4 a ton, Rather than
Instead of
$9 a
nine.
ton, I think that's pretty
Exactly.
simple decision.
Even I can
Yep.
figure that one out.
They were already mobilized.
I think it
Exactly.
would be,
That's
Yeah.
it.
it would be better gravel, so to speak, too, because I think it would pack better than just, the standard pit run gravel.
Yep. So that one I wanted to point out. The other ones, all related to either projects we have going on or treatment chemicals for water and wastewater again.
I see our communities of distinction on
Yep.
there.
Mm-hmm.
That's still obviously pressing forward.
Yep, Yep, that actually didn't really need to be on here. It was an agenda item, its own agenda item,
Yeah,
but
that's all right.
it's fine.
Is there any questions for Ms. Falconer on payment of the bills?
Move that we pay the bills.
Second.
Okay, a motion and supported by Commissioner Olson for the payment of the bills. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's carried. All right, next item will be the city manager's report.
I just have a couple things. DDA meeting tomorrow morning at 7:30, if anybody would like to come. July 1st, we had a ribbon cutting ceremony. The ambassadors joined us for our farmers market, and we had a raffle there, and I just wanted to announce who the winners were. The free weekend at the Gladstone Bay Campground was Lana Peterson. Free tubing pass, Mallory Lynch. Another free tubing pass, Garnson Rossich. I'm really sorry, I probably just slaughtered your name, but it's close as I can come. Swanee Nieto won the pop cooler. Carolyn Lynch won the duffel bag set. And everybody else, it was a case of pop. Kathy Dahlhoff, Robert Johnson, Gunnar Wickland, Jean Roberts, Tina Kalanimi, Sally Pouliot, Debbie Bingston, Jim Pino, and Sharon Bruner. So they were very appreciative of all the phone calls I made and said they were a winner. Had a lot of people stop by, a lot of people threw their name in the basket, so nice to give back, prizes sometimes. At my last library advisory committee meeting, Mrs. Wells handed these to me. These are all either people that stop by the library or have donated to the Friends of the Library. These letters went out with them too, returning it to the library, saying that they're City of Gladstone residents and they do support the city funding the library. 95 people. So if you wanted to look through them, they support the city funding the library. And I just wanted to announce our 4th of July parade winners. The top winner was the Iwo Jima Memorial from Sons of the Legion. Number 2 was Troop 466, the Boy Scout float. And number 3 was the Honor Flight. So that was good 2-day event. Heard a lot of positive comments, so not too much negative, so that was good.
That's the only problem, being in the front of the parade. I never get to see those. I didn't get to stand around to be able to watch that, and had to come back home to get changed for my big event.
Used to be something that law enforcement have to put some special emphasis on because people, when they get in a party mood, sometimes they do some things that aren't very smart, but we haven't heard reports about that for many years now, so apparently that celebration is pretty well run. Otherwise, we'd be hearing from our officers.
Yeah. This coming weekend, we have Rockin' the Bays at the Yacht Club, Friday night, Saturday. The city really doesn't have any part of it other than, it's taking place in our city and there's going to be more traffic and more people, and that's a good thing. So if you can have a free Friday night or Saturday, come down and watch
Scouts
the
are involved in
bands.
that, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yep. And then on a personal note and community, if you want to catch a ball game, stop by any ball field lately. There's plenty of ball games going on. Gladstone Little League All-Stars are going on. 11 and 12-year-olds just won their game tonight at the house field. And 9 and 10-year-olds start tomorrow night in Escanaba. And the girls have been playing.
Yeah, unfortunately, our 12U girls were beaten last night by Escanaba, and the 10Us, I believe, girls start this weekend. So a lot of softball and baseball going on.
So which brings other people to the community as well.
Yep.
So
Concerts in the park.
Thursday night, concerts in the park. Yep, those have been going very well attended.
Good.
Yep, that's
Very
it.
good. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to city commission committee reports, board and commission reports. Do you have anything from the commission? Any boards? Okay. Public comment? Move on from that as well. Commissioner comments, Commissioner Matnan?
I'd just like to echo our city manager's words in regard to the 4th of July event. That was a great event. A lot of good comments from the folks. Everyone seemed to be enjoying it. And, of course, the weather cooperated and everything for us. About perfect, you know. But real good time. A lot of folks staying around for right into the evening till dark to watch fireworks, and good crowd and people just having a good time. So it was fun to participate.
Good.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Olson?
Oh, I want to apologize for not being here on the 4th, but the boss said he was taking the 5th off. The customer is taking the 5th off. So Judy and I have run the Lake Superior Circle Tour clockwise and counterclockwise, and we noticed there's a northern loop up there in Canada, and we were always kind of curious about that, and we're planning to take that last winter, and then decided, no, you don't take two 70-year-olds up into northern Canada in the middle of the winter. So we decided to make a run up there then. And I guess it was a very good 4th of July for me. Judy and I had a lunch. I had a $10 lunch up there, and I paid $1.30 in taxes on a $10 lunch. So I really felt good about being in the United States.
That's good.
So, thank you.
Commissioner Gates?
Just again echo the comments about the 4th of July celebration. I, for one, always enjoy the Dock Dogs. I'm glad that they're they continue to be part of the program. We had a lot of local people involved in that, mostly local people within the Delta County area. The kids have a great time there. I didn't, you know, as someone had said earlier, typically there's some knucklehead that does something or creates grief, and I spent most of the day down there, and it was ran real well, and it went real well. It was, you know, guys running around making sure stuff was picked up in that, so it was a good event. Thanks to the staff for doing such a good job. I know you had all hands on deck on that day, so you know, good job to everyone. The other thing I had was I'm curious if you've heard anything. I know we had a couple meetings ago, we had a gentleman in here in regards to the metal detecting and looking at, has there been any movement or any information on that particular item at this point, or no?
There hasn't, but when he was in, we told him, you know, full speed ahead until 4th of July. Once that's
Okay.
done,
So that's something
we
we
can
can
get
look
back
to in
to-
the next month to maybe
Yep.
get some information on. Okay.
yep.
Okay, that's all I've got.
Thank you. Commissioner Mackey?
Not meaning to put the city manager on the spot, so if you don't know the answer, you can do some research. How come that hydrant at the entryway to the beach is so high? I was walking by there and I ran into a guy who would have been my neighbor had he stayed here. He's a manager in Munising, guess who that is? And he says, what's that hydrant so high for? And I says, Doug, I don't know.
So you can find it in the wintertime.
Well, that's what we had on hand when we redid the water to the park. There was new pipe from the beach house to the new fish cleaning station,
Right.
but the pipe from 13th under the Lakeshore Drive to that first restroom there all needed to be redone. It was too small, failing. It was it was a planned project, and we had the hydrant on hand, so that's what we used. I've talked to Eric a couple times because I've had other people question the same thing.
It looks,
We can change it, but Nicole kind of likes that beautification thing. She would like to put topsoil around it and make kind of a raised flower bed.
if she does that, then it won't show, yeah. I
Right.
see they've started that.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
So-
they'd have to bring the flange down. Okay. Okay.
There is a standard from the ground to the middle of the your first connection, but I'm here to tell you, working fires for all these years, I wouldn't mind it a little bit higher as I got older, because you don't have to bend over and reef on the lines, especially if you're using 5-inch, because it gets quite heavy. So it is a little, because I questioned it before, and it is a little bit of an eyesore, but I think the way it's being raised around like a berm, and if it's finished off, I don't think it'll look all that bad, and it actually, with the plowing in that area, it's probably a better idea to have it raised a little bit more than what it normally is, and also helps on the older guys with their backs.
We had a nice letter in our package from Isaac Mishaw. Isaac Mishaw was a former City of Gladstone employee when I was working here. Thank you, Isaac. He's Rick Mishaw's brother. His parents are in the audience quite often. You all saw an email that Commissioner Lorman sent to Darla and I responded to. This project we talked about tonight was one of the areas that I thought we needed to get on top of and start coming up with a development plan in order to build revenues. So I suggested some other areas in that email as well to Commissioner Lorman, former Commissioner Lorman, I'm sorry. And then I had a guy ask me about the South Bluff Railroad light, and I said, well, last I heard was the firm that developed it wasn't in business anymore, and you were trying to contact the engineer who did the legwork on it to see if we could make that a reality, and that's the last I knew. So, and that was at church. So that's the last I knew.
Yep, it's getting back to the top of my desk now that the 4th is done.
Yes. I'm
Did it?
done. Yep.
All right, thank you. I'd like to send a thank you out to all the city staff, Ms. Falcon, and everybody, the volunteers that put all the time and effort into making the 4th of July a real success. It was a 2-day event, and I think it was well ran. From setting up to tearing down, it's always been amazing how quickly that everything can go up so quickly and also be torn down so quickly and allow for the traffic to keep moving through there once it's been completed.
Yep.
So hats off to everybody who was involved with that. Did an outstanding job. I was a little disappointed in the commissioners. I did not see one of you there at the start of the firecracker race. Since none of you showed up and I was in my attire to run, I decided not to run and just give my speech and start the race.
Blatant lie. Wow. You were in your tire to run. Oh my. Wow.
I had shorts and
We should have had boots on, right?
I had shorts and my
Little
commissioner
tall
shirt on.
boots.
I was
About the
also
height of that hydrant.
Yeah. I was also very disappointed that none of you, except for Commissioner Olson, because he was excused, didn't make it to the dunk tank to try to dunk at 1 o'clock.
Get there, but I got
You did?
there late.
You got there late?
Yes, I was throwing, but I didn't, unsuccessfully.
I
was there.
love doing that. I was also surprised that none of the staff members from the city were there. I figured that there were a few that would love to either spend $20 trying to dunk me because they like me so much, or at least donating to the Kiwanis. Well, it was fun. I always enjoy that. And the nice thing was the water was warm. Water was very warm.
I wouldn't go anywhere near it because I know what you'd probably say.
There was a couple things that I said. I know one guy. I had him going so bad that he kept on putting dollars on the tip.
Oh yeah, that's the whole idea.
That's it.
$5 later, he said, "That's it. I can't handle any more of your harassment."
So nobody jumped the fence and just ran up there and,
No,
so that's something
no.
I would do.
I was only dunked 3 times.
Just-
Really?
Yeah.
I'd give them a 20 and
Man,
then
I
just
used
run
to
up
sit in
there
that thing,
make
and
sure-
if the little kids couldn't hit you, eventually they'd let them all go in there and knock you in the water.
Yeah, they
You'd climb
did.
out, another one would want to come in, you'd climb out, another one, and my, you get tired of climbing out of that water after a while.
Yeah. No, it was fun. I enjoyed that. So, that's all I have. That's all I have. Oh, again, same thing what Ms. Falcon said. If you guys get a chance, I know that obviously softball and baseball has been a passion of mine. So it's really neat to see all the different teams and all the little kids now when they up there playing. And Escanaba in the near future here will be hosting a couple of state tournaments. I think it's the 10U girls and the 14U girls, I believe, their sectionals are held in Escanaba. So we'll see a lot of traffic from all around Michigan coming up here for those tournaments.
I would bet your department is busy this week with the 150th.
It's been busy, yeah, it's been busy, so. Other than that, that's all I have. Consent to adjourn? We're adjourned.